All right, time for another episode of Just Hangin', and today I'm joined by the general himself, the great Gavin Dawson. Gavin, thanks for hanging.
Man, it's great to be hanging with you, Jared. I'm trying to get as comfortable as you over there with that headdress on right there. Man, you're living the home life well.
I've got the afro in full force, so I gotta control it somehow with this little headband.
Okay, so check it out. I let Abby give me a coronavirus haircut.
Whoa!
She made it's kind of a dodgy haircut. I think I look like a soccer hooligan or something. You know, it's kind of there's just a patch on top where she decided to stop shaving and left it up there.
And everyone is different. I don't have kids, but I love, and I mean this genuinely, following your relationship with Abby on Instagram and stuff. It's really cool. And I didn't realize, though, it would get to the point where you would just let her give you kind of a random haircut. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I did clean it up a little bit. You know, she left stuff over the ears and little patches and stuff. Yeah, but for the most part, that's my approach to parenting. Like, take the serious stuff serious, but all the other stuff, like, let them explore and have fun with it.
Okay, so let's start with the questions. We're going to start with favorites. Favorite food?
My favorite food is a perfect set of barbecue ribs, smoked. You know, no doubt about it. My family background is Midwest comfort food, so I have a lot of influence in that as well. But I really fell in love with Texas barbecue.
What? Yeah, when did that happen?
When I got here, you know, I liked to barbecue growing up and everything, and I knew some guys who could do it well, but, you know, I grew up in the Northwest, and the barbecue scene there was really unevolved. So when I got here, I was like, oh, yeah, I like barbecue. Let's go have some. And the first time I had some, I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. What is this? You know, just the texture, the flavor, the smoke, you know, so I instantly was like, wow, and this is a hobby, you know, so this is something I want to attempt to recreate on my own.
What's your next barbecuing pursuit? Like something you haven't been able to master or something you'd like to improve upon?
You know, I would like to get really good at brisket. You know, that's one of those that when somebody can do that in an A+ 10 out of 10, it's really jaw-dropping good. You know, the tender, you know, it's just, it's so amazing. And there's a couple of spots across town that I'll go to, and it's like, man, I hate you because I want to be able to do brisket like that. And I can't yet, you know, but I'll get there.
Your favorite brisket comes from where?
Hutchins in Frisco and McKinney. Yeah. And there's a lot of really good ones though. I think there's many that are tied with them.
Are you more of a movie or TV show person?
Oh, very much a movie person. I've given up. You know, network TV, sitcom, stuff like that. You know, no, I'm totally out on that. The only sports I do, Jared, are Sports Center and games, and then your cable TV dramas that are binge watched on Netflix. You know, I'll jump in for a little bit of news, but I like to get that on the internet. Yeah, TV is almost completely out, other than accessing the different apps and stuff and the occasional live news program that, you know, you need.
You have a favorite movie?
Yeah, I'd say Tombstone's my favorite movie.
Which one?
Tombstone.
Okay.
Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp, you know, it's a running theme on the show, but when that came out 20 some years ago now, I probably watched it, you know, 24 times in the first year that it was on VHS.
You haven't introduced that movie to Abby yet, have you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we've taken her up to some superhero type movies, you know, your comic book movies that can venture into PG-13 land, but that's about as risky as we'll do there.
You have a favorite actor or actress?
Favorite actor, actress? Wow, man, that's a great question. You know who I really like, and I'm sorry I don't know his name. I'm not good with actors and actresses, but it's always been impressive to me the guys who aren't good looking who can pull it off. Who's the dude that played Nucky Thompson? Buscemi? Is it Steve Buscemi?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think he's just so unique. Tom Hanks. Man, how can you not love Tom Hanks? I just saw the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood movie. It's a Beautiful Day. And I don't know if you had seen that movie, but I saw that on a flight on the way back. And I just came off inspired to be nice as possible to everybody because of, you know, the way that he communicated the background of that character. And that's a television show I grew up watching. and he always had the best messages for the kids that were watching. And this show was just so amazing. And some of the stuff that Tom Hanks has done in the past is obviously amazing as well. So yeah, I'd probably settle on Tom Hanks, another guy who's not outstandingly good looking. If you can make an impact on the audience and directors and producers want to put you in movies and it's more than sex appeal, I really think that speaks to your ability to get into a character and do art.
Who's your favorite sports team growing up?
Portland Trail Blazers.
And favorite athlete?
Clyde Drexler. Yeah. I was a big Sabonis guy too. I just thought it was so cool that this guy was 7'3" and he could pass it all over the place like he was Magic Johnson and could shoot threes. The ability to see the entire court and cut him up with passes, like Luka's doing right now, like Patrick Mahomes does in football. To me, that teamwork. But Clyde Drexler was just a thoroughbred. I think he's getting a little disrespected in The Last Dance.
I was going to ask you about that.
For a stretch, he was dang near unstoppable.
What were you Clifford Robinson guy? Because one of my first ever NBA games was Mavs Trailblazers, and Clifford Robinson threw his headband into the crowd, and the guy next to me caught it, realized how sweaty it was, and just gave it to me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I thought Uncle Cliff was great. He was one of the original big fours who could, stretch the floor. And I thought he had tremendous potential. Had he been on a team, like if he was coming up right now and was on the Golden State Warriors, he would be this modern big that was like, oh my goodness, is he a Hall of Famer? Because he would be scoring 22, 23. He'd be shooting threes. He'd be handling it. He'd be defending everybody. Cliff Robinson was a really good player, maybe a little bit ahead of his time. When I think of some of the moments of Cliff Robinson's career, it's the Last Dance games against the Bulls, and as Jordan's hitting those shots and he's doing that, it's because Clyde had been getting killed by Jordan, so they put Cliff Robinson on him. Cliff Robinson couldn't stop Jordan either. But yeah, those kinds of Last Dance heartbreaking moments, are riddled throughout my early sports childhood.
Favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
With or without milk?
With.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know, that a lot of people like to snack on the cereal and just have it dry.
Yeah. I've never been that into it. I think it's in pursuit of the perfection when you still have crunch with a little bit of soggy. That's when cereal's at its best right there. So I couldn't do it that much without milk.
The great thing about, and I don't know the last time I had cereal, but the great thing about Cinnamon Toast Crunch is if you have leftover milk, once you get that last piece of cinnamon, the milk taste from the sugar and the cinnamon is so amazing.
Yeah. It's probably the best cereal milk in the game right there.
That's a great point.
Cinnamon sugar is a really underrated sweet combination. Chocolate gets a lot of love, fat gets a lot of love. Cinnamon and sugar, I'd put it squarely in my top three. Cinnamon rolls, churros, elephant ears. A lot of good ways you can dance with cinnamon and sugar, Jared.
I agree. Favorite board game?
Risk. Go Risk.
Yeah. Favorite smell?
Well, I'm going back to cinnamon and sugar there. Maybe the Cinnabon when you walk past the Cinnabon store at the mall.
That is so tough to pass up.
But the bar, probably barbecue. When you've perfectly smoked a cut, you bring it in, you put it in the oven to rest or whatever. It starts wafting through the house. You're like, oh, that's gonna be a good one right there. Yeah.
What is your most embarrassing moment on air?
Most embarrassing moment on air.
You're also the type of person that if something that other people would think was embarrassing happened, you just like, whatever. I mean, hey, let's just roll punches. Yeah.
I forgot what question I was asking to Jerry Jones one day. It was like a Thanksgiving show. I remember we were at Premier Grilling, and I had a question in my mind to ask him as he was wrapping up his deal. And I don't know how I got distracted, but I got distracted. Then when I come back, and I'm like, oh, that's right, we're interviewing Jerry Jones. I better start talking again. I didn't know where to go with the question, and I couldn't improvise. This is something that might happen a couple of times per week where it's my turn to talk, and as the quarterback of the show, I got to say something. And 99% of the time I can, make it somewhat less awkward than that. But I think I ended up asking him, the topic was Des Bryant. And I was like, but aren't you worried that one day Des Bryant could just flip and really hurt somebody on the side of the field? And I was like, that's the worst question ever, Jerry. I'm sorry. Just strike that for the record. And I didn't know how to get out of it, you know? So luckily he picked it up and just started talking. But, you know, to have years in radio and to pride yourself on being a polished announcer, and you know that Bob Costas is the standard, to have it get that wheels off and that horrible, I'm like, that's why I'll never, you know, I'm a local guy, you know, that's what's in my mind going home. I'm just like, you know, I don't want to be network. I love Dallas Fort Worth, you know, life's great at the Fan, but I'm like, that's it right there, Dawson. That's what you need, you know, to really work on.
I think you're selling yourself short. I am a big fan of a good interview, and let me tell you, there are some network people who ask some of the wackiest, worst questions. So,
really? Okay, I'll feel better.
Don't sell yourself short. When was the last time you cried?
When Kobe died.
Okay. What was your first job?
KFC dishwasher. They wanted me to be a cook. I couldn't even get dishwashing down. It was bad. Cooking was intimidating. There was all kinds of different times and stuff you had to do. And I didn't last long at that job, maybe 2-3 months off and on. And then I became a courtesy clerk at a grocery store that's bagging and stocking shelves. I was outstanding at that job.
Were you ever employee of the month there?
Yeah, I sure was. They wrote me up in the grocery store chain's little quarterly letter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I had a lot of fun for $4.25 an hour. They wanted me to work extra. I'd be like, yeah, man. You know, 2 hours for $8.50 before taxes. This is, you know, 1992. It was brutal, man, but it was cool. You know, I enjoyed that first job.
What is your social pet peeve?
Smacking lips while eating. Okay. You know, I really just try to block that out as much as possible, but sometimes I can't.
Favorite book? I should have asked it earlier because I know you like to read.
Man.
Or maybe I'll phrase it this way. Most influential book.
Okay, so the book that got me started kind of on more of like a midlife spiritual journey, like a lot of people go to, is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and that's probably like the most mainstream one. But I'm also really into like the history of the world and how civilizations came together and those different religions and those ancient civilizations, how they, you know, solved problems that are very modern today. And there's this newer book out called Sapiens, which is written, I forget the guy's name, but it is an absolutely fascinating read about the history of how humans came together and how we problem solved. And at what points in history did we figure out to critically think, and what points in history changed, you know, the course of events forever. You know, my dad's a history professor, and as I get older, it's those kinds of books and the, you know, the history of spirituality that really, you know, gets me interested in turning those pages.
What's something you'd like to learn?
Man, I'd love to be handy. You know, if I could just work on cars, that would be awesome. I can't work on cars, you know. I tried earlier in life because we all have beaters. And you know, a couple of times I managed to like get an alternator or a starter out, and I was like, yeah, I did it, or change the battery cables or clean off the terminal, stuff like that. Cars got more sophisticated, but I would love to know that in a real pandemic outbreak, world is ending scenario, I could come up like an old 1984 Bronco 2. It ain't running, right? But the squad, they need to get across town. The horde's coming, or the bad guys are coming, something like that. Just give me about 8 hours. You know, I'll take apart the car, put it back together. Boom, lickety split. You know, it's those kind of handyman skills that I think would be awesome to possess.
I replaced the AC filter at our house the other day. That was a pretty big accomplishment for me.
Well done.
That's about as much as I can do.
Keep up on that.
My wife's more handy than I am, which is a little embarrassing, but whatever.
Yeah, and they really want you to do a good job at that kind of stuff. Like, it gets incredible points with the wife,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that would be another good thing. Like, if I was skilled at that, I feel like maybe I'd be out of the doghouse a little bit more.
What's your perfect pizza?
Just pepperoni. Um, Shout out to Matchbox Pizza up off of 75. I know it's just like a regular dining spot, but their pizza's incredible.
What type of crust?
I'll do a lot of different crusts, but like the hand tossed.
Okay.
Hand toss is probably my consistent.
Whether it's like a topping on a pizza or something that goes in a burger or like a taco or ice cream, is there like a topping that is pretty uncommon that you actually like that you can think of?
Spicy meatballs. Is that like a different kind of topping
for a pizza, or where do you put it?
Yeah, on a pizza.
Sure, I'll count that. If I told you that one of our teammates at 105.3 The Fan likes to put crushed Oreos in his chili, who would you think that would be?
RJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was, yeah
absolutely. The weirdest thing I think I've ever heard from like a food standpoint.
Well, I do like the crushed saltines in chili.
Oh, absolutely.
Similar type of texture, but you can add sugar and fat to a lot of stuff and it'll taste surprisingly good. So maybe I'll have to try that out.
You know what I like? And I first tried this with a Wendy's Frosty, but I'm sure it would apply to any milkshake. Dipping fries in a milkshake. It's a really weird like combination, but it's really good.
Yeah. I wish I had more of that kind of stuff for you. But I have a pretty basic palate, I'd like to get out there and adventure and try a bunch of different cuisines and stuff, but the texture of a lot of vegetables and whatnot just scares me off. So I get a lot of stuff pretty plain.
Your palate is way more advanced than Jeff Kavanaugh's, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, significantly more so, but still on the lower side of it.
Would you rather own a zombie, or would you rather own a dragon or be a dragon?
Okay, so the kind of dragon that can talk and breathe fire, not a Komodo dragon. Yeah. And fly. I would and they live like 200 years. I was a D&D guy growing up, Dungeons and Dragons. So I have a lot of dragon knowledge stored. And if I get to determine the kind of dragon, I want to be the dragon.
Okay. If you could be friends with any animal species, which species would you choose?
Well, that's interesting. Are people really friends with lions and tigers? That's pretty cool. But I would be friends with whales because they're super intelligent. They might know some stuff on deeper levels, and they can get down into the depths of the ocean and talk about what's down there and stuff. So I'd like to figure out, what all they have going on. Plus, if you do believe in global warming, they'd be nice allies to have if the sea levels rise. You know what I'm talking about, Jared?
I know. All right, give me an impression of any one of your 105.3 The Fan teammates.
Let me take a look at these players. I'm gonna get in some film. That's my deal right there. I get to take a look at these players here. Take a look at the film. I don't want to. That's the only one I got, and I'm pretty much just doing David Hellman doing Brian Broaddus. So I'm working on it.
That's great, and he never. Like, he could know, like, Tua. Like, Tua, everyone knows Tua, but he'll still sometimes refer to him, that Alabama quarterback or whatever. Like, it's such like scout speak. Like, he won't just say Henry Ruggs. That one receiver from Alabama, the Alabama receiver. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. You got Alabama. You got OU. There's a lot of different broadest stuff, and 10 weeks in to this new configuration in the G-Bag Nation, I'm really enjoying working with him and busting his balls on stuff like this.
All right, you could see anyone in concert. Who would you see, dead or alive?
My favorite musician of all time is KRS-One. He's a rapper that is also into history and spirituality and stuff like that, knowledge, consciousness. I saw him a couple of years ago, and it was outstanding. Didn't let me down at all. So would I see that again? Maybe. I'm not a concert guy, Jared. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are, have tons and tons, but to me, if it's not somebody who is really meaningful in my life, I'm not going to enjoy their music. It's going to be loud and crowded. And the audio compared to the quality I would get putting your CD on is going to be in the single digits of percents.
I'm
So
not a big concert guy either. I hear you.
I want to go be in the presence of somebody I consider great, and maybe give them a fist bump or something.
Yeah. Do you have a either current or past celebrity crush that stands out?
Current or past celebrity crush? That's a good one. Jessica Alba. That was tops on my list for a while. But you know what's funny is Paris Hilton. Wasn't she just scrumptious there for a long time? I'm creeping now, old man style. But yeah, I thought Paris Hilton fell off way too quickly. Like, what are you guys thinking? Come back to look at this. It's outstanding. Maybe she didn't have the character. But then here comes the Kardashians. The Kardashians just squash her with essentially the same bit, just a little less airheady. So
yeah, that makes sense. All right, either or, chicken nuggets, chicken fingers.
Fingers. I feel like the nuggets are more processed than the fingers. It's more like a chicken goo that they fry.
Go-karts or bungee jumping?
Oh, go-karts. You kidding me? Got Abby. Basically, it's a dune buggy go-kart. It's like a four-wheeler, but there's two seats. Fixed and it only goes like 28 miles an hour. But we're having a killer time out here in Sunnyvale because they're building a new neighborhood. And right now it's just all dirt roads where they're kind of sketching it out. And we can go bombing back through there after the work guys go home. It's outstanding. I'm having the time of my life. Like 12-year-old Gavin is just like having a ball here with this pandemic.
Big car or little car?
Big. Yeah. Full-size truck. You don't want to be on the road with all these massive SUVs and trucks unless you're in one too. It's a matter of safety to me.
Singing or dancing?
Could I do neither? I'm not good at either, but I do like making up songs or just around the house, just about silly stuff or, your kids. I made up a lot of lullabies for Abby, and I'll still sing those around the house. So, yeah, that's fun type of stuff.
Okay. Barbecue or ranch?
Barbecue.
Yeah. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Pancakes or waffles?
Great question. French toast.
Oh, I like it.
King of breakfast.
I like it. Policeman or firefighter? If you had to be one. Well, I know there's respect and love for both, but if you had to be one.
Yeah, policeman.
Policeman. MJ or LeBron?
MJ. Now, what we're seeing here in The Last Dance, if you're catching this, keep watching the footage, go watch more games. There's a finishing quality of all of Jordan's moves that LeBron can't sniff, okay? You're talking about a refined expert scorer compared to a dominant athlete. And take your pick, but I think Jordan ends up with rings in more scenarios than LeBron would.
Are they the two best players of all time, or does someone else sneak in there?
Oscar is in the conversation, but you have to dominate both sides. I kick Bird and Magic out. They are champions and were on dynasties as the leaders of their team, but they had to be with transcendent two-way players. And so I think maybe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should be on that list. Maybe Hakeem Olajuwon should get more consideration. Maybe Bill Russell should get more consideration. Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, but I put Kobe ahead of Magic and Bird because of the ability to lock down at that elite level and take those secondary stars, guys like Bradley Beal, Gilbert Arenas, and say, James Harden, I am going to play elite defense, and it's going to be such a pain in the ass on the other side of the court in a 7-game series. You ain't getting out of this thing alive. So those are the dudes.
Belichick or Saban?
Let me go Belichick. I think it's harder to do at the NFL level.
All right. For 1 month, you either have to have a perpetually clogged nose or, the airplane ears where they don't pop when you get off the plane.
I'll go with the nose.
You have to get rid of one of these functions, copy and paste or undo.
Undo.
Okay, last thing, series of teammate identification anyone at 105.3 The Fan who is on air in any capacity. Let's start with the best arguer.
The best arguer, I would not want to lock horns with you if you were really impassioned, because I know you would be right. You know, I would be sitting there going like, dang it, Jared's right about this, and he's upset with me. I've made a horrible mistake. Okay, because when you bring it, you got it. You know, you got the nut flush. You're like, yeah, look at the cards, buddy. You lost.
Coming from you, I appreciate
that. But I have a healthy amount of respect for Jeff Kavanaugh on my own show. You know, if I can't just go in shooting with Jeff unless I want to make it fun. You know, if I'm like, this ain't serious, I'll argue with you, but we're going to laugh it off, then I'm okay. But if you really want to drill down with Jeff, he's going to go to some places that you hadn't thought of, and you may very well have to acknowledge that you were at least 50% wrong at some point in the discussion. So I'll go with you and Jeff.
For the record, you so far have been the most common answer when I've asked other people who the best arguer is at the station.
Right on. Well, yeah. You know, I try to get to the reality. You know, a lot of our segments are just like, to me, crowdsourcing what the truth is about a sports topic. You know, and sometimes I feel like I was impatient with others' perspective, but I'm really just trying to cut through and get down to the nugget of what's really going on. And, you know, and I think, you know, at times the fire of a good debate is amazing, right? So there's truth seeking, there's entertainment in there. But you know, I hope I don't make people feel like I won't listen to their side. You know, I hope that's coming out as well, because I do try to consider. And at times, if I stop talking in the middle of an argument, I'm thinking, holy cow, that is a great point. I really have to consider that for a significant period of time. And when I'm speechless, you know, that to me is the top compliment to somebody, when I can be fully convinced in my side. Here we go, let's dance. And then boom, it's like, holy cow, it like hits you in the chest, right? And you know, that to me is really some of the most interesting parts of sports radio, how people react when they just got exposed. Your take's wrong. How you gonna take it, right? It's fun. People get all bent out of shape. I do too sometimes.
Who's the wittiest?
The wittiest guy at the station. Hagee.
Most creative.
Probably Troy Hughes.
Okay. Best voice.
Probably Sean Sharif.
Okay.
Like Chiafalo too.
Yeah.
Chiafalo, Wolchuk at night. Those guys are jamming.
You're playing either pub trivia or Jeopardy. You know, you need someone who knows a lot about a lot of different things. Who's your partner?
I think Hagee. I think Kevin Hagelin from the KNC Masterpiece took school very seriously, and he has a above average intelligence, like significantly above average intelligence.
Okay. Person you'd most want backing you up in a fight.
Probably Lucius. He's very strong, works out a lot. He's got great cardio. He ran a mile under 6 recently. And sometimes when we talk about fighting, he's like, I can get loose, man. I can get loose. And I take that to mean like hands are just flying and like really powerful punches are landing.
He is the most commonly mentioned person when given that prompt.
I bet RJ can throw some haymakers too, though. He's got long kind of caveman arms and a wide back.
Yeah, I never thought about the long arms. You're right, though.
Yeah.
All right, just nicest, most genuine.
The nicest and most genuine person at the station would probably be Brian Broaddus. You're traveling with him. It's outstanding. He's so appreciative of everything.
Yeah.
He offers to buy dinner. He always is very courteous in settings. I don't know. Maybe you get on Broaddus's wrong side and all that goes away. But so far, my experience has just been outstanding with the kind of energy that he brings to the social scene, fan.
All right, last one. we have a team huddle, team meeting. We need some inspiration. Who's the person who's going to give us that Newt Rockney motivational pump-up speech? And you're going to genuinely like feel supercharged afterwards.
Probably me. Yeah. I'll probably ask somebody to record it. I'll say, hold my beer and watch this, record it. I'm going to go home tonight and watch it. I'm going to be pumped up too.
Gavin, Dawson, thanks for just hanging.
Man, thank you, Jared. That was outstanding. It's an honor.